Hello and welcome from the California Our Lady's Army of Advocates Conference. My name is Father Albert, and I will be answering some of your questions. A hellish question. If one spouse claims grounds for an annulment based on Canon 1095, paragraph 3, supposedly not having sufficiently grasped or assumed all the duties of the married state, and succeeds in obtaining a decree of nullity, is the other spouse free in conscience to accept the tribunal's decision and seek a new spouse? Indeed, a hellish question. I know my first reaction when someone asks me something about marriage is, I don't know. Because it's a very intricate subject, and you have to know a lot in order to be able to answer some questions. And sometimes you just have to say, I'll have to ask someone else who knows. I will try to answer your question, nonetheless, give you some principles at least. It's true that this grounds for annulment that has been added in the new canon law of not sufficiently grasping the duties of married state opens the door to great abuses, especially since a lot of people are just looking for some loophole to be able to grant annulments. And it's a fact. I mean, I've experienced myself. And it's common knowledge that in a lot of dioceses in the United States especially, it's enough to just pay the fee in order to get an annulment. They'll tell you that. Well, you give us $3,000 and we'll declare your marriage null. And this particular paragraph is one of the grounds that they use, because you have to find some grounds to declare a marriage null. But that doesn't mean that it's always false. There can be cases in which someone has not sufficiently grasped all the duties of married state. And so when they get married, in fact, don't get married because they don't know what marriage is. That can happen, especially today, with all the confusion and the lack of education of people. So you see, it's a difficult, complicated question. As I said, you have to examine each case. But it's certainly an abuse to have put this precisely in the canon law itself, so that people can use that as an excuse to get an annulment, which is what actually happens a lot of times. But that doesn't mean that it can't be valid in certain cases. So as I said, the first thing to say when someone asks you something about marriage is, I don't know. We'll have to look into it. So I would say, in response to your question, this other spouse, objectively, is not free necessarily in conscience to just accept the tribunal's decision and seek a new spouse, because, unfortunately, a lot of times it happens that there is no real grounds. And so they are really married. And simply because some tribunal pretends that that's not the case, doesn't change it in the eyes of God. So they can't simply use that and say, well, I'm going to get married to someone else now, because they're married. If the grounds of annulment used to declare the annulment is not real, well, then the person's married. And if they're married, well, they can't get married to somebody else because they're already married. That's just the way it is. It used to be that you could simply accept a decision of the church and go on that. But it's just not that way anymore. You can't say that because it's not the case. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.